Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. Today's video is all about kids, but more specifically, maintaining and growing the relationships that us parents have with our kids. Now, I'm going to speak very personally and very passionately from the point of a father relating to their children. Now, I have three kids. My eldest daughter, who's fast approaching 16, and it's just saying that out loud is a very scary thought. I've got my son, who is 8 years old, and then I've got the tiny one, who, as much as I refer to her as being the tiny one, isn't really tiny anymore, who's on the verge of becoming 5. And I think us as adults, we are so preoccupied with this quest of providing our children with everything possibly that we could think of that we never had as children, that we forget about what we actually needed when we were children, which is time. Time's the one commodity that we don't get back. It's the one thing you can't rewind. You can't go to the store and buy some. You can't. It's not available on catch-up TV. There's no +1. But that's the bit they actually need. Now, this lesson got taught to me quite vividly and eloquently put by my 8-year-old son. You see, we have this routine whereby we go through what I call sort of room check. I insist that they tidy their room and put their stuff away before they go to sleep. And what I try to do on most evenings is to get back to the house, regardless of what I'm doing, for that time. So I'm there to facilitate them tidying their room. Now, speaking to my son after I picked him up from school a little while ago, he said something to me that really smashed some things home. He said to me, he goes, "Daddy, I really like tidying up time." So I said to him, "Why? Why do you like tidying up time?" Now, in my head, I'm thinking most kids don't like tidying up their room. Why do you enjoy it? Why is it something? Why is it a highlight of your day? Why is it something that you look at and you value? And he said to me quite simply, "Because it's time I get to spend with you." And as you can imagine, I'm sure parents out there that are watching this, that ran into my head like a car out of control through a building. We can get so preoccupied with the quest of searching to make sure that we give our kids everything that we never had. But the only thing they ever want you to do is to spend time. Now, that time doesn't have to be everything. It doesn't have to be your whole day. It doesn't have to be 100% of your time. But the bit that I grasped from that is that they need 100% of the time that you can give. Now, that may be half an hour a day. It may be an hour every other day. But they value your undivided attention. The other thing, which is illustrated in the picture that's about to pop up on the screen in a second, is that they watch you when you're not watching you. When you're just doing your thing, you're just being you. They're clocking, they're watching, and they're wanting to be you. You are you may not think that you're a point of inspiration. You may quite adequately sit down there on an afternoon or what have you and be able to illustrate the amount of things that are wrong with you or the amount of things that you can't do. I mean, I've done this exercise with so many people and gone, right, well, name me 5 things that you would like to change, and they can list me 15 off the cuff, roll off the tongue. This is all the bits and ways in which I consider myself to be inadequate. When you flip it round on them and ask them, go, right, well, now give me 5 things that you consider to be good at, they stutter. But understand this, that stutter does not exist with your mini-me that's sat in your house right now, watching you. You're their example as to what an adult's supposed to be. You're their aspirational point. Now, as you can see from this picture here, my son is reflecting my seat on the bench. Now, I need to explain the situation that occurred, the way in which this picture occurred, because it was taken by accident. It wasn't staged. The picture was supposed to be of me. We were on a family vacation in Croatia. We were taking pictures in the square. I sat on this bench and I prepped myself to make the pose that I wanted to do. So I was in the vest, it was hot. So as far as I was concerned, I was going to go, right, let's find a way in which I can sit here and flex but not flex. So if you notice, the triceps are contracted, my chest is there, my back's there, I'm in the position, I'm in the chair, I've got this. And as I'm waiting for this picture to be taken, my glasses are positioned accurately on there. Everything was looking cool. There was a lot of laughter going on because behind, my wife was taking a picture and my mother was there, her mother was there, her stepdad was there, and my eldest daughter was there, and everyone was giggling and laughing. You know, this picture was taken before the tiny one was born. And I couldn't understand why until I looked to my left. And to my left, there was my son copying every single move I made. So as I adjusted myself in my seat, he adjusted himself in his seat. Obviously, he was a lot smaller. And then you notice in the picture, he struggled because obviously he's a lot smaller than I am to get himself in the position where he could be exactly that. But he mimicked it as best he could. And the picture has always been quite iconic for me and really backs up the message that I'm trying to get across in this video here. You need to be mindful of the image that you project, not when you think everybody's watching, but when you suspect that they're not. Because that's when your kids are watching and they're soaking up everything there is about you. They're soaking up everything that you think you are and everything that you think you're not, and mimicking that to that extent. So when you're sitting there saying, I'm not good at this and not good in that, because of your previous experiences of trying to do this and that, they're deciding that they're not good at this and not good at that. And even when you think about yourself and think about some of the insecurities that you have, how many of them are actually founded on situations that have occurred? How many of them are actually established fears? When you think about it, a lot of them aren't. They're handed down. They're handed down in a way that you can't even pinpoint the point of when you accrued them. Why? Quite simply because they were passed down as you watched your parents and you decided that that's how you were going to be. I'm not going to extend this video too long because there will be several in the series that talk about this very subject. It's something, as I said, I feel quite passionate about and I feel the need to talk about and to air. But the overall message I would like to get across, number one, be mindful of the impression and the way in which you carry yourself, because your children are making decisions on how they should be based on that. Secondly, when you find time for them, make it time for them. Give them the bit that you needed when you were a kid, not what you think they want now you're an adult. That's it for me. Apologies for the sun streaming through in the corner of the video. Not much I can do about that. It's Mother Nature's way of saying good morning, and I'm never going to say no to a ray of sunshine. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Stay strong. stay focused.